Right. In Italy, there are certain types of firm uh, disciplined by different laws. We're going to talk today about the Società Semplice. So this is a firm set up normally, or not normally, it's always for an agricultural business or some sort of professional service. Originally, this was specifically for agricultural businesses, which we've talked about in the form. They've got before we've analysed agriculture and seen that they've got certain privileges, etc. And they got this category specifically for them. But then also has added these professional services, for example, like, I don't know, maybe partners in an engineering service, or I don't know, accountancy, lawyers can get together and form a società semplice. So here we got the agriculture and professional services. Now, the administration of these can be two types. They can be disgiuntiva or congiuntiva. Disgiuntiva administration means that every partner can make decisions on his own or her own without consulting the others. So, if one partner decides to change suppliers or take on a new worker or even change premises, they can do that without having to consult the other partners, which, is a bit dangerous really, unless you really trust your partners. The other form is congiuntiva, where you don't have to trust them because all decisions must be made after consulting and voting, having a majority, rather than just being able to do things as you want personally. So there's that. Now, if this isn't written down, it's automatically disgiuntiva, amministrazione disgiuntiva. Whereas if you want it congiuntiva, it has to be written down as a kind of pact, contractual form. Okay, so in the Società Semplice, we have said, agricultural or small, if it's a small, it doesn't have to be a small entrepreneur, but if it is, they can't go bankrupt. There's no process of bankruptcy, but they are responsible for their debt. If they take on the debt, they are responsible for it. And so you do have this difference with other per capitale, società per capitale, where a società semplice is a società di persone, where there's no difference between the patrimony of the firm and the patrimony of the partners. So, the creditors can personally go for the patrimony of whoever, whichever partner in the business, and ask the court, to give them, to enforce this debt repayment. But they're not declared insolvent, and they don't go through a process of bankruptcy where the business can be brought to a close, basically. So that's quite important. For a società semplice, you've always got this unlimited liability. And if there are debts, then the partners can allocate, they've got a right to allocate a particular asset to repay that debt. So they can give an asset in return for that debt, indicate an asset in return for that debt, as long as it's easy to convert into money. So maybe in an agricultural business, they may say, well, take the tractor instead of us paying you, I don't know, €5,000, take our tractor. But if it's not easy to convert into money, like for example, it needs a lot of repairs and etc., and it's not so easy to sell, then they can't. But they have that right. A società semplice can be formed in any type of contract, whether it's oral or written. So there's this article 2251 which says nella società semplice il contratto non è soggetto a forme speciale, salve quelle richieste dalla natura dei beni conferiti. So there's forma speciale means it doesn't have to be in written form. You could agree in the bar to start, I don't know, a partnership in translation services, and that's adequate to form this società. But it does say salvo quelle richieste dalla natura dei beni conferiti. So if you want to start a farm and you confer I don't know, a field, it's a proprietà immobile, so it normally has to be conferred in written form to transfer ownership or even, use of, needs to be in written form. So in that case, if there are beni conferiti and they have that requirement because they're immobile, then yes, you do need some sort of written agreement, some sort of contract. As for the responsibility, this responsabilità illimitata, so unlimited liability, unlimited liability, we've got Article 2267, which talks about the responsabilità per le obbligazioni sociali. So the obbligazioni sociali are the debts, basically. And it says, i creditori della società possono far valere i loro diritti sul patrimonio sociale. Per le obbligazioni sociali rispondono inoltre personalmente e solidalmente i soci che hanno agito in nome e per conto della società e salvo patti contrari agli altri soci. What do we mean by this? So we mean here each partner is personally and in solidarity responsible for the debts. This means that if the business has debts, it doesn't matter if the other partners can't pay. A single partner, is responsible for all the debts if the creditors attack him, because he seems to be able to pay more because he's richest, and then he will have to turn to the other partners and then take them to court. So each partner is responsible for all the debts and not just their little part of the debts. And it also means, any debts of the business is their debt, not the business's debt. So there is this indication that there's no difference between your patrimony and the patrimony of the firm. It does say salvo patto contrario. So here it gives the possibility of having partners who don't have unlimited liability, who just stand to lose what they've conferred into the business, what they've invested in the business. Now, If this is the case, they cannot take part in the administration of the business. As soon as they take part in the administration of the business, for example, making decisions, deciding on strategy, deciding, I don't know, what markets or what products to produce, etc., then it turns into unlimited liability. So decade il bene della responsabilità limitata. So people can invest in a società semplice, but not taking part in the administration. And then they just stand to lose the investment. Obviously, this will encourage more investment, which is what it's supposed to do, but it also means that they're not taking responsibility for decisions made, because they haven't made the decisions. So I think this idea of being responsibility being linked to consequences and is very important. So who takes the responsibility of making decisions should face the consequences of those decisions. And if they didn't, if they just invested, then they don't have to. So there's that option for a società semplice. And I've got a picture here of somebody able to fly away as long as they give in a bit of money into the business.